If you've come in since I last announced this, just to let you know that the cards and the pencils that are at your places are to write anything that you are sorry about, that you would like to ask for forgiveness for, that you would like to leave in the past year, and write, and then place the card in a basket. There's one in the center table over on the front row. Welcome. Bruchim habaim, bruchot habaot, welcome. Welcome to all of you who are here in Philadelphia. Welcome to all of you who are here with us through Jewish Voice for Peace's live stream. Hi there. It's so good to usher in Yom Kippur together as a community. Every year, we begin Yom Kippur by asking God and by asking those assembled here to give us permission to pray with the avaryanim, with those who have transgressed. In our prayer book, in our machzor, it tells us of the legend that we're asking for permission to play with the Iberianim, the Iberians, the Spaniards who had converted to Christianity during the Crusades, but who secretly maintained their Jewish practices. The obviously outwardly identifying Jewish community felt as if they needed to get special permission to be with those who did not fit the usual mold of being Jewish in their day, those with whom they did not pray with the rest of the year, but came together only on Yom Kippur. But in our day, who do we need permission to pray with? Only a few of us in this group, in this community, actually pray together during the rest of the year. It's more likely that for many of us, we'll march together, rally together, spend time organizing together, or learn something significant together. What is clear is that we all belong together, that we all need each other's permission to be here. It's also clear that by virtue of the fact that we're all in this room on this holy day, we have given that permission. We're all welcome. We're all a vital part of this day's experience. If you're comfortable in this space at services, if you're not so comfortable, you're still a part of this community tonight. If you believe in God, if you're not sure, if you have no belief at all, you are a part of this community tonight. If you love the prayer or are tolerating it because you love the people who love the prayer and brought you with them, you are part of this community tonight. If you're Jewish, or if you're uncertain about your Jewishness, or if you're not Jewish, or if you're on the road toward being Jewish, you are part of this community tonight. Whatever your race or gender or sexual orientation, you're part of this community tonight. Whatever your age, your physical ability, your state of being, in every possible way, you are part of this community tonight. If you're here, you're not just welcome, because welcome can imply that someone who is more in is welcoming other people. You're more than welcome. We're all in this together. We're all equally in. We're all opening the door for each other to enter Yom Kippur. Some of us are wearing non-leather shoes and white clothing. I'm wearing a garment that's called a kittel, which is the clothing of death. It's the jacket that goes over a shroud when one is buried. Because today on Yom Kippur, we walk through a mini death. We leave all that sustains us according to the tradition, right? We leave food, we leave drink, we leave sex, we leave anything that focuses on our body. And we come together to look back at our lives as if we were no longer living, as if we're beyond those lives. I often have the image of Yom Kippur as someone being able to come to their own funeral, hovering above the room, hearing, seeing everything they did in life, facing the joys, facing the regrets. And only we are given the gift of being able to do this, to face our death, and then to come back to life tomorrow, to start anew, based on everything we've learned. And we can only do this if we're here together, here with the perfect community. So, before we move into Kol Nidre, if you would look around, and if there's someone near you you don't know or have never met, the only way we can form the perfect community is by meeting each other. So take a moment, introduce yourself. now that we know each other, now that we form the perfect community, we can walk into Yom Kippur and enter Kol Nidre, moving towards forgiveness. I'd like to invite Sue and Rachel to come up and light the Yom Kippur candles for us. Candle lighting is on page 688. Amen. Amen. There's a tradition that on Kol Nidre night, it's the only night of the year that it's traditional to wear a talit, a prayer shawl. If you are not wearing one and you would like to, there are a few extra on the table right outside the door. So you could definitely get one, and the blessing for putting it on is on page 690. We turn to page 1 in our supplement. And I'd like to ask Z to come up and read Moments Vanishing.
It vanished. Now, in the quietude of evening, the dove comes. It does not flash its feathers, does not make a sound, but feeds on what the finches leave behind. How little it needs. A few hard seeds, a drop of water. It is late summer. It's always late summer here. The air is hot and dry. Brown leaves lie like hands in the yard. There's no place to turn, no place to stop. We are hurried along, pushed farther into our lives. Moments are vanishing all over the earth as bombs explode. The victim is hooded. Great populations scatter on endless dust roads. It is too much. We avert our eyes. We wait like children for the coming of the dove. And if I were allowed a question, one question of the evening dove, who asks for nothing, whose pleasure is a few small seeds, whose heart I covet, I would ask, oh, what will become of me?
Kol Nidre moves us from all we did in the year past to all that we'll do in the year to come, and asks that we may be treated with compassion for the ways that we have not been and will not be perfect. We will make promises we do not keep, to ourselves, to others. We will miss the mark over and over again, just as we have in the past. And we hope for a world that treats us with compassion and kindness, even though all we are is human. Tonight and tomorrow we'll be focusing on so many layers, on all that we are, on all that we've done in our own lives, and then beyond us, looking at our government, at all it does, at all it has done and will do, looking at Israel, at all it does, at all it has done and will do. Beginning this day with Kol Nidre lets us land in Jewish tradition, land in a melody that holds us, and land in our own lives, our own hearts. May this prayer open us to the day and the journey to come. Please stand as the ark is opened. And we lead in to Kol Nidre.
אנו מתירים להתפלל עם העבריינים. Kol Nidre v'yesarei u'shuei v'charamei v'kinuyei v'chinusei v'chinuyei din darna udishtavana udiacharimna udiasarna al nafshatana miyom kippurim shavar ad yom kippurim zeh Amalenu litova kulhon ichrat ravahon kulhon yehom sharan shvikin shvitin אשר נשאת לעם הזה ממצרים עד הנה, ושם נאמר, ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך. ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך. ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך, סלחתי כדבריך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
All the people who've had to flee, all the people on bended knee, those who are balancing on a wire, those of us who've come through the fire, those of us who have lost a home, those of us standing all alone, those of us who have been blamed, all the ones made to feel ashamed. Be careful how you bend me. Be careful where you send me. Careful how you bend Be careful with me. Those of us who've survived the worst, those of us who are dying of thirst, all of us fear, all the grief that can shed no tear, those of us who are desperate, denounced, abandoned, dispossessed, those of us who bear the blows, yet somehow find a way to grow. Be careful how you bend me. Be careful where you send me. Careful how you end me. Be careful with me. All of us who have locked our door, all of us who could have given more, all of us who have failed ourselves, putting our dreams on the shelf, we who failed to do what's right, we who've slunk away in the night, we who faltered for lack of proof, we who never did speak our truth. Be careful how you bend me. Be careful where you send me. Careful how you end me. Be careful with me. Nidra nalo nidre, Vesara nalo esare, Ushivu atana, lo shavuot. Be careful how you bend me. Be careful where you send me. Careful how you end me. Be careful with me.
We move into the evening service. We turn to page 708 as we all stand for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu lemata, otanu lemadata. Al kin Adonai Eloheinu Shokenu V'kumenu Nasiach B'chukecha V'nismach B'divrei Toratecha Uv'mitzvotecha le'olam ha'ed. Ki hem hayenu Be'orech yameinu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla Nege yomam v'layla Yahavat halot asur Mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Ohev amo Yisrael Ohev et kol yoshvei tevel.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema, listen. Pay attention to each other. How else can you know each other? How else can you know what's in each other's hearts? How else can you form the relationships you need to get the courage you need to change yourself? How else can you find the power to change the world? Shema. Yisrael, God wrestler, we're all wrestling, struggling, trying to be gentle in a world that is anything but kind, in a world that is so broken. So we accept our role as wrestlers and we wrestle. We fight for truth and for honesty and for healing. Adonai, Yah, Shekhinah, Rock, Love, Eternal, Life of all worlds, we call you by many names, trying to feel the power in the universe that holds us, that it's within and around us that connects us to each other and to ourselves. Eloheinu, our God, we notice our uniqueness in the presence of unity. And we are then able to notice everyone's uniqueness, to celebrate the difference, to celebrate variety, diversity, while we feel always what holds us together. Adonai, by whatever name we call that grand power, Adonai, we know, is Echad, the God and all of us and everything, all one. When someone across the world is suffering because of our actions, we are diminished. When an animal species becomes extinct because we've contributed to the climate change that has caused that extinction, we are diminished. And when we allow our government to oppress another people in our name without standing up and fighting, we are diminished. Because we are all one. And with unity, there comes great beauty and great power. And with unity, there comes great responsibility. We turn to page 3 in our supplements. Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
As we move into the Ve'ahavta, you'll see there are places that say all. If you would all please join in when we get to those lines. And we will pray to the words of the wonderful Puerto Rican Jewish poet Aurora Levins Morales.
ואהבת את אלוהי אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצוותך היום על לבבך.
Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return, in times of mourning and in times of joy. Inscribe them on your doorposts, embroider them on your garments, tattoo them on your shoulders, teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies, recite them in your sleep, here in the cruel shadow of empire.
ושיננתים לבנותייך ובנייך ודיברת בם.
Thus spoke the prophet Roch Dalton. Altogether they have more death than we, but altogether we have more life than they. There is more bloody death in their hands than we could ever wield, unless we lay down our souls to become them, and then we will lose everything. So instead, imagine winning.
בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכתך ובקומך.
This is your sacred task. This is your power. Imagine every detail of winning, the exact smell of the summer streets in which no one has been shot, the muscles you never have ever unclenched from worry gone soft as newborn skin, the sparkling taste of food when we know that no one on earth is hungry, that the beggars are fed, that the old man under the bridge and the woman wrapping herself in thin sheets in the back seat of a car, and the children who suck on stones nest under a flock of roofs that keep multiplying their shelter. Lean with all your being towards that day when the poor of the world shake down a rain of good fortune out of the heavy clouds, and justice rolls down like waters.
Defend the world in which we win as if it were your child. It is your child. Defend it as if it were your lover. It is your lover.
When you inhale and when you exhale, breathe the possibility of another world into the 37.2 trillion cells of your body until it shines with hope. Then imagine more.
וקשרתים להוד על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עינייך.
Imagine rape is unimaginable. Imagine war is a scarcely credible rumor, that the crimes of our age, the grotesque inhumanities of greed, the sheer and astounding shamelessness of it, the vast fortunes made by stealing lives, the horrible normalcy it came to have, is unimaginable to our heirs, the generations of the free.
וכתבתים על מזות ביתך ובישערייך.
Don't waver. Don't let despair sink its sharp teeth into the throat with which you sing. Escalate your dreams. Make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way. Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion and keep walking. Hold hands, share water, keep imagining, so that we and the children of our children's children may live.
you. I love that view. Perfect. We turn to page 5 in our supplements. And for the reading of Creation Story by Joy Barjo.
I'm not afraid of love or its consequence of light.
It's not easy to say this or anything when my entrails dangle between paradise and fear.
I am ashamed. I never had the words to carry a friend from her death to the stars correctly.
Or the words to keep my people safe from drought or gunshot.
The stars who were created by words are circling over this house formed of calcium, of blood.
This house in danger of being torn apart by stones of fear.
If these words can do anything, if these songs can do anything, I say bless this house with stars. Transfix us with love.
I don't know, I thought I was.
Hashkivenu, the evening prayer on page 6. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu malkeinu l'chayim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, lay us down, Ehiyah, our Father, in peace, and raise us up again, our Mother, to life, and spread over us the shelter of your peace.
Let your love cover me like a pair of angel wings. You are my family. You are my family. Ushmort Seiteinu. Uvoeinu. Ufros Aleinu. Sukat Shlomecha.
V'taknenu ve'etza tova milfanecha, v'hoshienu lema'an shemecha, v'v'tzel kanafecha tastirenu, ki el shomrenu matzilenu ata. Let's read together. And nestle us in your good counsel, and deliver us for the sake of your names, and in the shade of your wings shelter us, for you are our parent and our protector.
Let your love cover me like a pair of angel wings. You are my family. You are my family. Ushmort Seiteinu. Uvoeinu. Ufros Aleinu. Sukat Shlomecha.
For you, our Father, are compassionate, and you, our Mother, are merciful. Guard us when we go out and when we return, for life and for peace, for now and forever. Spread over us the shelter of your peace.
Let your love cover me like a pair of angel wings. You are my family. You are my family. Ushmort Seiteinu. Uvoeinu. Ufros Aleinu.
Zoreis Sukkot Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Ha'anashim V'al Kol Ha'olam. Blessed are you, Ahiyah, unfurling peace over us and over all people and over all the world. Right. Page 734. Ki vayom hazeh yichaper alechem litaher etchem mikochatotekhem livnei Adonai tidharu. For on this day atonement shall be made for you, make you clean from all your wrongdoings. Before the fount of mercy you shall all be clean. Page 736. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah v'yalma divrach v'yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechonu yom echon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael Pagalav Yizman Kariv Vimru Amen Yeheshmei Rabba Mevarach Li'alam Ulam Me'amaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yirama v'yinaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei Dekudisha b'richu Le'ela u'le'ela Mikol birchata v'shirata Tush v'chata v'nechemata Damiran v'yama v'miru Amen. Emily Dickinson wrote, "Silence is all we dread. There's ransom in a voice, but silence is infinity. Himself have not a face." Silence can be frightening. It's a time when we have nothing to fill the space between our outside selves and all that is within us. It's a time of possibility, but also of possible emptiness. There are never guarantees of what will emerge from silence. The Amidah, when read silently, is a fascinating moment in most synagogues. Silent Amidah is a false description of the words, because in many synagogues the words are quietly chanted aloud, creating a soft cacophony of the prayer. In some synagogues, there is indeed silence, as everyone looks around worrying. Am I taking too long? Is it okay if I stand a moment more? How can I possibly read all the words that I'm supposed to? And in others, there's just a brief time of silence during which everyone finds a very brief way to connect with whatever calls for connection. Tonight, I'd like you to know that in our silent Amidah, there's no rush. There's no wrong way to pray the Amidah. There are only right ways. And since we're all very different people with different modes of prayer that feel comfortable for us, we should not all be taking exactly the same amount of time to complete the Amidah in exactly the same way. So, some suggestions. The text in the book that starts on page 740 is one possibility. You can read it in Hebrew, in English. You can read some of it. You can read all of it. You could find a few words that speak to you, or you could stay with one word that you find that finds you, and you can go with it. You can stand, or if you'd like to sit, you can sit. The Amidah is a time for many for meditation. If that's a more comfortable time for you to be sitting, taking in whatever you need to take in at this moment, please, that's fine. You can be silent, or you could say words out loud. You could stay with the words of the 7-breath Amidah, which is on page 7 in our supplements. You could read through any of the rest of the book or supplements. Anything you find that jumps out at you, this is the time. The Amidah is a time of connection. Connection with our past, with our future, with right now. The words are a vehicle to try to give us that connection. Take this time to use the words or not, if they're helpful for you or not. After a while, Otter will start singing to draw the Amidah to a close. If you're finished your personal prayer, great. If you're not finished, great. Keep praying. Keep meditating. There's no time limit. The service can continue while you stay immersed in your prayer. May this be a time of connection, of meditation, and of fulfillment for you all. The Amidah in our books, page 740, or wherever you like. Please either stand or don't. On Friday afternoons, members of the Christian peacemaker team living in Hebron, walk down a street that is commonly called Prayer Road because of the mosque and the synagogue located at different ends of the road. In one direction are groups of Muslims returning from the Jummah, the big afternoon prayer service that much of the community attends. In the other direction are groups of Orthodox Jews from the nearby settlement walking toward the Friday evening service, welcoming Shabbat. While in theory this should be a particularly peaceful time of the week, two people celebrating deeply spiritual moments in their lives, it's often quite fraught. Teenage settlers have been known to harass Muslims as they pass each other on the road. Emotions get heightened quickly. Sometimes name-calling escalates into much more. In order to try to stop this from happening before it even starts, CPT, the Christian Peacemaker Team folk, walk in quiet witness along the road, just watching, just making their presence felt. Before we walked on the road, when I was in Hebron, we were told that there was one Israeli military guard who might stop us when we were on our way home after dark. The guard would ask us our religion, and if any of us said that we were Jewish, he wouldn't let the Jewish person walk all the way into the old city of Hebron where we were staying. You won't be safe there, he would say. We can't protect you there. He would then take the Jew away from their group and keep them for a very long while, requiring that they walk by way of the Israeli settlement so they would be protected. I was the only Jew in our otherwise Christian group, and I tucked that possibility away, not giving it a second thought. It was calm and quiet when we walked on Prayer Road. No one harassed another, either by happenstance or because our presence was felt. And as we walked home, the possibility of the Israeli military guard approaching was the furthest thing from my mind. So I was taken aback when we walked past a military guard station and a voice called out, "Where are you going?" The speaker looked directly at me. "To the place we're staying in the old city of Hebron," I responded. "Ah," he replied, "what religion are you? Are you all Christian?" Again, he looked directly at me. Right. I could feel the eyes of everyone in our group looking at me, wondering what I would say. "We're all Christian," I told him. And he nodded and said, "Then go ahead into the old city." And we moved on. I felt nothing for a little while except relief that we could continue to walk home. And then it hit me. This was the first time in my life I had ever denied my Jewishness. And it had taken a Jewish man representing a Jewish state to push me to do it. I then felt incredibly guilty. People for centuries have risked torture, even death, to maintain their public allegiance to the Jewish people. I thought of the story often connected to Hanukkah of Hannah and her 7 sons who were all killed rather than bow to another god, rather than disavow their connection to Judaism. And all it had taken for me to do this was the possibility of several hours of inconvenience, discomfort, not danger. When I was a little girl, I wanted to tell the entire world that I was Jewish. I wanted to wear a Star of David that was as large and shiny as possible. Not just for aesthetic reasons. My mother was clear that this was not a good idea. It's dangerous, she told me, to let everyone know that you're Jewish. That made no sense to me at all. Why would the aspect of myself that I most loved, that I got so much joy out of, that gave my life so much depth and beauty, be something that I shouldn't share with the entire world? Why wouldn't everyone celebrate my being Jewish, just as I did? Just as everyone at the synagogue where I was spending so much time did. And just as my family, while they wanted me to be a little hidden, did in so many ways. I had been taught that Jews were better than everyone else. We were smarter. We were more thoughtful. We were more sensitive. We were more successful. We were even chosen by God. So why shouldn't I cover myself in stars of David and proclaim my Jewishness to the entire world? I had never experienced anything even vaguely feeling like danger. This Rosh Hashanah, as we do every year, we spent the first night at dinner at my partner Betsy's brother's house, and the second night at my cousin's. During the second dinner, one of my cousins asked me, "Are rabbis told what to talk about during the holidays?" Not that I know of. I don't. But I don't go to a lot of programs of the Board of Rabbis. So if they told rabbis what to talk about, I missed the message. He said, all of us here go to different synagogues, and all of the rabbis talked about the same thing on Rosh Hashanah. They all talked about anti-Semitism. I thought maybe that's what you were supposed to do. We laughed together then, too, about the likelihood of such a large and diverse group of rabbis being willing to talk about something they were told to talk about. And the conversation ended. But it never left me. I realized that of everything I might talk about on the holidays, anti-Semitism's never been on my list. And it's never something I do much work on. And it's never something I focus on very much. And then it hit me. I talk about, think about, work on, struggle with so many forms of oppression. But I focus so little on anti-Semitism. And when I'm in groups of people who are talking about the amount of anti-Semitism they feel, well, I know enough to say the right things to participate in the conversation. I don't let myself feel any of it. Some of this is from years of frustration that the only form of oppression the Jewish community was ready to take seriously was anti-Semitism. When in the 1990s, a group of us tried to get the Holocaust Memorial Day ceremony planning committee to include anti-queer oppression during the Holocaust program, we were refused. The Holocaust was mainly about the murder and oppression of Jews, we were told. There's no room for adding any other kind of killing or torture to this list. This was so short-sighted and so narrow-minded that it stopped me from looking at anti-Semitism at all for a while. And in recent years, I have so often been accused of being anti-Semitic because of my anti-Zionist positions that the absurdity of that and the anger that I feel about that has stopped me looking at what anti-Semitism might mean to me. Or is there something more? It's complicated being a Jew in the 21st century. In the United States, the Jewish community has been largely successful, a model minority, we are told. We've gone from new, unwelcome immigrant to established, relatively economically successful community in the past 100 years. We've reached a point where we deny that there are any among us who are poor or unable to fit into the financially able vision that we have of ourselves. When I was younger, we talked a lot about how Jews weren't really white. We felt much more akin to people of color. And while we know that white Jews are definitely white and reap every aspect of white privilege, deep down, there's still some feeling of insecurity among us when confronted with those who we feel are truly white. Wealthy white Protestants who, at the moment, are running not only the most prestigious country clubs in our country, but also our country. And it's complicated being Jewish in light of the state of Israel. Israel is often cited as the most successful project of the Jewish people in the 20th century. Created with the explicit goal of giving expression to the flourishing of Jewish culture and religion, Israel is currently home to over 40% of world Jewry. For me, looking directly at Israel makes me want to run away from that Jewish culture altogether, want to disavow the entire project. But such a large percentage of Jews are there. People I know and love and respect have their homes in Israel. Love Israel because they see it as a miracle, as their miracle. And I cannot disavow them. And I understand some of the growth in anti-Semitism as connected to white supremacy, and some as a direct reaction to the oppressive policies of the state of Israel. The entwining of the Jews and the Israelis and the settlers and the Israeli government is a dense tangle that all of us feel the ramifications of. Standing back and refusing to engage in the deeper work of understanding anti-Semitism is understandable because it's connected to an even more complicated question. Why all of this? Why do we stay connected to our Jewishness at all? Why do we remain part of the Jewish community? That's lovely. It could be one of us, actually. Yeah. On a diagonal in the handicap row. Okay. It is one of us. How nice. The shofar, right? Exactly. Exactly. As long as it doesn't cause any more anti-Semitism, we're. There you go. I've had the honor of serving on the National Board of Jewish Voice for Peace for over 5 years. And among the most fascinating conversations we've had as a board is about the name of the organization. In particular, the word Jewish. Does it matter, for example, if the next executive director of Jewish Voice for Peace is a Jew? Does it matter if the chair of the board is a Jew? Does it make sense for us as an organization to put our resources into building a Judaism beyond Zionism to carry us into the future? Do we think that our organization and the work that we do is based on Jewish values? Does it matter? When we debate about Jewish values as the underpinning of Jewish Voice for Peace, the debate raises the temperatures of people on the board immediately. There's no such thing as Jewish values, some say. We don't base ourselves on Jewish values. We pick and choose whatever we want from the range of statements in Jewish tradition, and then we declare them the values that underlie our Jewishness. That's not true, others say. Everything I do is based on what I know to be true in Jewish tradition. I can find trends and deeply held values that are there throughout our culture. And there is never any way to reach consensus on this. I understand both views. The honesty that there really is such a range of possible views on almost everything in Jewish texts, and as expressions of all of Jewish life, that it's hard to say that one view is the true one. And and the ability to find full and deep representations of the values we deeply hold in Jewish texts and in our Jewish communities, that they must represent Jewish tradition. But there's a question, a real question, about whether we can really claim that we believe and live by Jewish values. And if we're not sure that we do, why do we work so hard to own our own Jewishness? Why do we maintain our Jewish identity if we're not sure that that identity is life-giving and sustaining for us? I sometimes officiate at funerals for people who have no formal connection to the Jewish community, so they have no rabbi they see as theirs. I love the completely unaffiliated, people who identify as Jewish but who are deeply immersed not in Jewish culture or religion, but in some other aspect of American culture. I love being present with them and letting them know that I don't judge their decision not to engage Jewishly, but that if for this moment they need something Jewish to be there in their life, I can walk with them. I can be there. And then the confessions come. Rabbi, we're not really religious. We're just cultural Jews. And what do they mean by that? They mean a range of things. Some mean we only celebrate a few Jewish holidays, and those are only with dinners, not with really any ritual. Some, well, we live in a neighborhood where there are some Jews. Some, we eat bagels on Sunday morning every week. Some, we feel a connection to other Jews, even if we don't really do very much. But rarely do they mention that the values they live by, that which is essential in their lives, that which gives their lives meaning, comes from Jewish tradition. So why do they remain Jewish? If there's no celebration of Shabbat, no focus on Israel as important even by being angry at it, no study of Jewish texts, no knowledge of Hebrew, no coming together with other Jews for any ritual purpose, no coming to services even on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, the holiest days of the Jewish calendar, no ritual celebration of welcoming or naming their children, what does being Jewish mean? And why do I, who spend so much time in my life with everything Jewish, feel a close connection to this particular group of people? On Yom Kippur, we're called to take a deep self-inventory. We look at everything in our lives, at who we are, at what we bring into the new year, at what is not serving us well that we need to leave behind, and what we need to understand that we can bring into the year in a better, more fruitful way. This year, among the myriad questions that I'm asking myself, is a range of questions about my being a Jew, about my having given so much of my life to the Jewish enterprise, to the Jewish community. Why? What is it that we get from our Jewishness that pushes us to maintain it and keep it despite everything? Even if so much of what the Jewish community here and in Israel does not represent who we are or what we believe. And how is the ever more blatant anti-Semitism in our world having impact on all of us, on our sense of ourselves as Jews in this incredibly complicated world? I've replayed my conversation with that Israeli military guard many times since this past summer. In my imagination, when I'm asked if our group is all Christian, I tell them, no, we're not. The others with whom I'm walking are Christian, but I am a Jew. I am proud to be a Jew in the face of so many things that give me pause, that even bring me shame. I am a Jew for my own reasons, my own life experience. I am a Jew because when I was 7 years old and sat in the back of a synagogue for Shabbat morning services that I did not understand or have any idea about what was happening, I felt at home. I am a Jew because when I met my partner, well, I knew it did not matter at all whether or not she was Jewish in terms of the quality or long-term possibilities of our relationship. When I knew that she was Jewish, I felt at home. I am a Jew because I love to argue about everything that Jews argue about. I am a Jew because that arguing, that debate of ideas and viewpoints and different approaches to everything gives me so much pleasure. I am a Jew because the density and complexity and convoluted nature of Jewish texts brings me joy. I am a Jew because feeling a connection to the foods my grandmothers cooked, even if those foods really are more Polish and Russian than anything particularly Jewish, feels so Jewish to me and is so comforting. I am a Jew because I am furious at what the state of Israel has done and what it has become in a way that feels deeply familial and potent and important to me. I am a Jew because the rituals that I feel drawn to and the calendar that connects me to the universe, even if sometimes it is only to choose not to do what I'm supposed to do according to Jewish law, is the Jewish calendar. I'm a Jew because when I sit with this community on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, I know that we're struggling with the same concerns and are conflicted about the same things, even if we don't agree about so many things. I'm a Jew because when I hear the word anti-Semitism, it brings up a range of complex, painful emotions that I may choose to ignore, but that are there, deeply in my heart. I'm a Jew because the way the Jewish world uses the metaphor of God provides a way into life's most challenging questions, even if the actual God often eludes my comprehension or belief. I'm a Jew because I have such strong opinions about everything the Jewish community does, and I'm so used to finding other Jews to share their feelings about what is happening with me. I'm a Jew because when I go to a tashlich ritual, like the one we went to on Friday at the ICE office, and I hear Elliot sound the shofar, it makes me cry. Makes me cry to think about it. I'm a Jew because the deep sense of belonging to an ancient people outweighs the particularities of exactly what that people is doing in today's world. I'm a Jew because even being able to have the argument about whether or not there are Jewish values feels so Jewish to me. Because other Jews call me a self-hating Jew. And that rings just a little bit true. Well, it's also patently absurd and ultimately so Jewish. Only other Jews would know how to get me exactly like that. I'm a Jew because being a Jew is quite simply who I am. For me, it's what was given by my parents. For some of us, it's what we've chosen on our own. But in many ways, those of us who are Jewish are here now as an acceptance of being part of the Jewish community, however challenging and impossible it seems to be. And with all our questions, with all the anguish that the Jewish world causes us, we're not going anywhere else. So before we move back into the service, I want us to take a moment. And I want us to begin to answer the questions for you that I pose to myself. Why are you Jewish? And if you're not Jewish and you're here tonight, why do you choose to be here on Kol Nidre night with the Jewish community? Take a moment. Hold whatever comes into your heart. And then, if you're comfortable sharing out loud, in just a sentence, please share one of the answers you would give. Either, I am Jewish because, or I'm here tonight with the Jewish community because. So take a moment. And if something jumps out at you and says to you, this is one of the reasons that I'm Jewish, speak it out loud if you like.
That's who I am. I'm here because I believe the world is sacred, and I want to live in a sacred manner.
Because my grandfather and my uncle gave their lives so Judaism could continue.
I'm a Jew because the Shema resonates from my core and out into the universe and just makes sense.
I'm still figuring it out.
Take your time.
I'm a Jew because I tried to walk away and I can't.
I'm a Jew because communities like this one brought me back.
I'm a Jew because of the melodies.
I'm a Jew because I was kicked out of Sunday school at age 9 for asking too many questions.
I'm a Jew because I searched and searched and searched for bliss and found it with the Jewish community.
I'm a Jew because of my ancestors and because many people in this room, Elliot and Otter and Mark Levitt and Albert and Rabbi Linda, who made me feel like the ritual that I love is here, that I can be in my body, that I can be in my spirit, the song, poetry, and the learning. It's here, and the politics, it's here.
I'm a Jew because deep down I'm not entirely convinced that the seasons will turn if I don't do a couple of. This is for all of you, though, not me.
I'm a Jew even though my one act of rebellion as a child was I refused to go back.
That's so Jewish.
I'm Jewish because my grandmother was very involved in Hadassah, and she taught me how to give back to the community.
I thought I was Jewish because of how little Bruce defined being Jewish, but I think you've got it.
As we move into this new year, my hope is that we begin to untangle these questions for ourselves, that we find ways to deepen our understanding of our connection to the Jewish community, that we learn to include anti-Semitism as one of the oppressions that we fight against, while knowing that the experience of Jews is so complicated as the community faces anti-Semitism in today's world, and that we're able to accept more fully our place as Jews and as strong allies to all who need us in today's world. We've reached the Slichot service, the section of the service where we ask for forgiveness, which in many ways is at the heart of Yom Kippur. We will be reciting Slichot, reciting prayers of forgiveness over and over and over again over this next day, so that by the end of the day, when we worry that the gates are closing, we will feel forgiven. We will feel whole. We will be at a place where we can love and accept the people we are, and we can move into this new year feeling honest, feeling forgiven. We begin the Slichot service with "Today I am sitting with Empire" on page 9 in our psalm. Now we read this fringes style. Usually Elliot explains this, but I've heard it often enough that I can do it. Reading fringes style is really, it just makes sense. As we read "Today I am sitting with Empire," we each read the lines that call to us. And if more than one of us is called to read a particular line, more than one of us can. And if only one is, then one can. And if it takes a moment to wait until someone is ready to read, it takes a moment to wait. We just all read it as we choose. Today, I am sitting with Empire, Kema John.
This feels familiar. The simple,
Singular plain on my terrorized set, on my hammered heart. Of resisting the jackboot assault, the weary rejection of preachers and teachers.
I am telling you this. The cities, their continent is crazy from the cost of this daily
Desire of the monster armies
of America,
fighting for false freedom, forced status, incarceration of hair and head and gender, and hearts into our children and our children's children, of the evening sky and our rattling teeth.
We need any kind of surgery.
we need words and walking and silence and stars and smashing.
Idiosyncratic proof, glorious proof
That we are not the problem.
We are the very kinsmen
of our self-determined
sanctity of God, and we know the difference between wrong and reasonable. We are the familiar everybody,
and we love the stars, and we love our feet in our shoes, and we turn towards the soul, and disclose the very why of the world, and we are no longer afraid, no matter what comes. Page 10, Yaakov.
He
them, and we see compassion and tenderness and patience and forbearance and kindness and awareness and love and lifting guilt and freedom. And depending on how you see God, that's how we take these attributes. I see God as a power within me and within you that is pushing us to be patient, kind, aware, loving. So as we sing these words, as we chant these words, we take those attributes into ourselves and we hold them. And we hope that over these days of awe and then throughout the year, they'll grow and grow within us. Page 8 in the supplement. Page 814. Shema Kol Nidre, Adonai Eloheinu, Kus v'rachem aleinu, v'kaber b'rachamim u'b'ratzon, et tefillatenu. Adonai Sumeinu V'Goaleinu, Ki Lecha Adonai Ochalnu, Ata Ta'aneh Adonai Eloheinu. Please be seated. Page 816. Ki Anu Amecha.
Anu Amecha, Be'ata Eloheinu. Anu Amecha, Be'ata Avinu. Anu Amecha, Be'ata Adonenu. Anu Keholecha, Be'ata Elkeinu. Anu Nachlatecha, Be'ata Goraleinu. Anu Tzomecha, Be'ata Roeinu. Anu Harmecha, Be'ata Notreinu. Anu Feuatecha, Be'ata Yotreinu. Anu Raitecha, Be'ata Dodenu. Anu Sekutecha, Be'ata Keroveinu. Anu Amecha, Be'ata Malkeinu. Anu Me'amirecha, Be'ata Mamireinu. Yai, 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 yai,
The Alchet, the list of all the ways we've missed the mark, of the things we need to say goodbye to as we start this year, the ways we feel that we could do better, is a complicated, multi-layered list. We look at our own lives, at all the things we want to change as the new year starts, and we look at the larger world, at all the things we want to change as the new year starts. There are so many. Our world is so broken. And on Yom Kippur, we face all the things we've done and all the things the government has done in our names. For whenever the government acts, it acts in the name of the American people. Over the day of Yom Kippur, we own this. We take the time to focus both on our own lives and then on these larger issues. And we renew our determination to do the work that needs to be done to change our own lives and to change the world. Saying the Alchet is a beginning, but it's only a beginning. Recognizing our own complicity in this broken system, that's the next step. Committing to do the work that we need to do to change it, that's the step after. Tonight, we will do a series of Alchets, both for larger issues in the world and for our own lives, those that we all wrote as we came into the service tonight. And we'll continue over the course of the day of Yom Kippur to look at many different issues with each Alchet that we recite. We begin on page 12 as we both listen and read together with Elliot. We lived happily during the war.
If you would all please be the Kaminsky's chorus on the letters that are large and bold. And when they bombed other people's houses, we protested, but not enough. We opposed them, but not enough. I was in my bed. Around my bed, America was falling. Invisible house by invisible house by invisible house. I took a chair outside and watched the sun. In the 6th month of the disastrous reign in the house of money. In the street of money, in the city of money, in the country of money, our great country of money, we lived happily during the war.
Page 13 in our booklets, we stand for the Alchei, please. In body or spirit. Stand always means body or spirit. Whatever. And we'll start with the Alchei for issues around immigration. The Kuvam Elohas Ilivod Selach Lanu Michal Lanu Kaber Lanu Achet Shechatanu Lefanecha, we read together, for forgetting that we are commanded to treat the stranger with kindness and justice, for we know the heart of the stranger, having been strangers. For supporting and profiting from the trade policies and murderous regimes that are right now causing millions of people to need to flee their homes. For creating an economy that structurally depends upon immigrants to do low-paid and dangerous work, and yet punishes them for coming here. For leaving people to drown in rivers and oceans, to die of thirst in deserts, and to face beatings and sexual assault for trying to save their own lives. For ripping families apart and stealing children. For the cages. For the concentration camps. The concentration camps. For the billions of dollars in profit made by all these acts. For this moment when we are called to be fearless, and yet we are stopped by our fears.
I ignored the needs of my spouse. I was too self-involved. I didn't do enough to change the world. I wasn't always nice to people that I don't really like. In giving the utmost of myself, I lost sight of my well of sustenance. And for too often, being paralyzed by fear.
Silah lanu, Michal lanu, Kaper lanu.
For procrastinating in developing my retirement plan. For complaining too much about the things that irk me and not focusing on the things that are really important. It's been a year of loss and sorrow and sadness of the loss of my husband. A lot has changed in my life. So I need to let go of the feelings of hopelessness and help get the strength and confidence to continue a life without him. For the moments that turned to ordinary tasks when I could have been reflecting, singing, protesting, and celebrating.
There are so many things that we've done that we ask for forgiveness for. We list them today as a community. We call them out. We write them on cards. We search our hearts to be open to all that we've done and all that we can name, can call out, can acknowledge. But there are other things that we cannot name because our shame is still so great, because our pain is still so great, because our fear is still so great. There are deep within us things we've done that we're not yet ready to fully own or acknowledge. And even when we do not say them aloud or write them or even let ourselves completely know them, on Yom Kippur, we are forgiven. We take a moment for our silent al-chet, for all that we're not able to name. We turn to page 14 and we listen.
Poet and author Wendell Berry is also a farmer. He's known for a long time what we're doing to the planet. This poem is from 1988. And actually, let's read it all together because it's written in the plural voice and it's beautiful. It is the destruction of the world in our own lives that drives us half insane and more than half. To destroy that which we were given in trust, how will we bear it? It is our own bodies that we give to be broken, our bodies existing before and after us in clod and cloud, worm and tree, that we, driving or driven, despise in our greed to live, our haste to die. To have lost wantonly the ancient forest, The vast grasslands is our madness, the presence in our very bodies of our grief.
Page 15. Together for treating the planet as only resources to be extracted for profit. For caring more about cheap food, cheap gas, and quilted toilet paper than entire species and ecosystems laid waste, burned, and forever gone. For how we, as U.S. citizens, consume and waste an obscene proportion of the planet's resources. For keeping our communities clean and safe by dumping our toxic waste in impoverished and disempowered neighborhoods and countries. For the time and money we spend on the personal purity of green products while taking no actions to bring about the necessary structural change. For the 3 billion missing birds, the 3 billion missing birds, the 3 billion missing birds. For the Arctic and the Amazon both raging in uncontrollable fires. For how the consequences of our actions will fall on our children and our children's children, facing a disaster they did nothing to create. For this moment when we are called to be fearless, and yet we are stopped by our fears. To page 820. Yeah. as we reach the end of our service, we do so through memory. I'd like to first ask Michelle to come up as we turn to page 16 in our supplements for the reading of Otherwise.
Otherwise, I get out of bed on two strong legs. It might have been otherwise. I ate cereal, sweet milk, ripe flawless peach. It might have been otherwise. I took the dog uphill to the birchwood. All morning I did the work I loved. At noon I lay down with my mate. It might have been otherwise. We ate dinner together at a table with silver candlesticks. It might have been otherwise. I slept in a bed in a room with paintings on the walls and planned another day, just like this day. But one day, I know, it will be otherwise.
As we turn to page 17 in our supplements for the mourner's cottage, we remember on Kol Nidre night, first, anyone who has lost someone they've loved during this past year. If you'd like to share the name of that person.
Ronald Fields. Cynthia Coffin.
Rosalie Escott.
Olive Byron Parks.
We hold them in our hearts, and if you'd like to share the names of anyone you're remembering tonight as we say Kaddish, we'll go around and just say the names.
Susan Glad, Kevin Glad.
Jeffrey Rubin, Joe Axella, Marlene Silver.
Seth Weissman. Phyllis Levitt, Deborah Lamb.
Lisa Baird, Donald Baird, Tina Baird.
Andy Cousins, Ross Fisher, Rick Fisher, Jerry Cousins.
Jane Races.
Frank Sherry Kitchener.
Man was killed for testifying against the police. Just this week.
Mike Burns, her utility bombs.
My father Sal was my brother-in-law, Amy Johnson.
In their loving memory and in memory of all of those we hold in our hearts now, if you're saying the Kaddish in mourning or a yahrzeit, or if it's your custom to stand for the Kaddish, or if you'd like to stand and remember all of these people, page 17. Yikadam v'yitkadash shnei rabah v'yamad yivrach v'yurtei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei techol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen Yehei shmei rabah mevarach le'olam olamei amaya Yitvarach v'yishtabach v'yitparar v'yitramam v'yinaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei t'kusha rechu le'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushvachata v'nechemata ta'miran b'yalma v'imru amen Yehei shlama rabba v'shemaya Chaim Aleinu v'al Kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Imramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu v'al Kol Yisrael, v'al Kol Yishmael, v'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, v'imru Amen. And on page 18, so often am I lost, yet through the pall, yet through the tarnish, show me the way back. Through my betrayals, my dismay, my heart's leap, my mind's slay, eyes broken below, groan of the soul, which convey all that isn't real. For every soul to these hands careen, and let us say, Amen. Say you will show me the way back, my rock, my alarm, lead the way, O my Yah. And yet in shock, and yet in shame, and yet in awe, and yet to roam, and yet to say, and yet right here, and yet away, and yet, hallelujah, my heartbeat speaks. For you live in all this work, and two in the clear, and two in our wreckage. You are the mirror of our souls. Let us say, Amen. Life may harm me, rob me, read me raw, try me, even slay me. Over all you will prevail, and let us say, Amen. Say you shall loan me a tomorrow. Say you shall loan another day to all who are called Israel, and all called Ishmael, and all called we and they, and let us say, Amen. Please be seated. Before our closing song, a few announcements. First, good Yenta. Those of you who are fasting, have an easy fast. I hope everyone knows that don't fast if it is not okay for you to fast. If it is not good for your health in any way, that's not what this is about. It is just like the words of the Amida, right? It's a tool that we have that can move us into some wonderful place, unless it would move you into a not wonderful place, in which case, don't do it. But do come back tomorrow morning at 9:30. There will be a service in the morning that will end with the amazing experience of having two goats here for the avoda service. So Rebecca, would you just tell us about the goats?
Yeah.
Stand.
Hi.
This is Rebecca's Bible. Who's bringing the goats?
I've actually not just, I will be here. They will be arriving. They're two lovely goats in Ireland, Clementine. They're still kind of babies, Nigerian birth goats. They're therapy goats. They're part of the Philly Goat Project in Germantown. At the honor for them. Yeah, well, here to help us. Will they just walk around? Well, Linda, do you want to explain it?
No.
Okay.
I want it to be a surprise. I want you to come tomorrow, and you'll see what the goats do.
Yeah, and they're actually the same size as the stuffed goat that I saw Linda bring here last year, which is where I got this.
Right. The stuffed goats were fine, but they didn't move, and they were not named, Violet or Clementine. It's like tomorrow we will have both of those here with us. So just for the last bit of the service, and then after the service.
Yeah, if it's raining, then we'll stay inside. But if it's not raining, we'll go outside because the goats hate rain more than people. But they're really social, so we can just hang out with them.
It's good.
One from Violet. People like to know Violet is deaf, so she doesn't respond to any auditory cues, but Clementine is hearing. Violet is sign language, but I don't.
How exactly do you teach sign language?
You'll see tomorrow. The goats are arriving at the end of the service. You'll see then. And, maybe exciting to find out how to communicate with a deaf goat. The things you can learn by going to shul with your before. You never know. Can we do goat yoga? They might love doing goat yoga. I don't know.
These goats actually do goat yoga. I'm
Sure they do. So sure.
They get around.
Nice. Then, during the break, The goats have got more energy involved with them than anything else. During the break tomorrow, you will have some time to hang out with the goats a bit until they're tired of us, and then they will leave. And it has also been Otter's tradition to, you want to say what you do?
Sure.
It's great.
So there is a long narrative poem by a poet named Judy Grahn. The poem is called A Woman is Talking to Death. It's my Yom Kippur practice to read this out loud for myself, and I'm happy for anyone to join me who wants to. And every year there's a small group of us who go through this poem for the lessons that it brings.
The year that I did, I loved it. So if you haven't yet, you might want to. Then in the afternoon, we'll come back together again for Mincha at 3:30. There will be Mincha, then a Yizkor service at 4:15, martyrology that is on the West Bank and Gaza and on resistance in the West Bank and Gaza and the Negev and the Bedouin in the Negev. It will also be about them. That I'll be co-leading with Pastor Amy Yoder McLaughlin, who you may remember was the pastor here and is now in the suburbs, but she's coming back for the martyrology. And then at 6:15 will be the Ne'ilah service, which is the final service of the day. It will end at 7:15 with Havdalah and a shofar sound. So it's a good and beautiful and full day, and hope to see everybody. We conclude tonight on page 7.
It's
No,
19.
on page 19. No? 19. 19.
Last page.
Last page.
She is a boat, she is a light, high on a hill in dark of night. She is the way, she is the deep, she is the dark where angels sleep. When all is still and peace abides, she carries me to the other side. She carries me, she carries me, she carries me to the other side. And though I walk through valleys deep and shadows chase me in my sleep, on rocky cliffs I stand alone. I have no name, I have no hope. With broken wings I reach to fly. She carries me to the other side. She carries me, she carries me, she carries me to the other side. 1,000 arms, 1,000 eyes, 1,000 ears to hear my cries. She is the gate, she is the door, she leads me through and back once more. When day has dawned and death is nigh, she carries me to the other side. She carries me, she carries me, she carries me to the other side. She is the first, she is the last, she is the future and the past. Mother of all of earth and sky, she carries me to the other side. She carries me, she carries me, she carries me to the other side. She carries me, she carries me, she carries me to the other side.
Mar Fatima Tova. Have an easy, fast Shana Tova.